Forged by Fire, Chapter 2. When Gerald woke up, he didn't know where he was. He was too scared to cry. Everything around him was white. The walls, which seemed to tilt toward him. The sheets, which were scratchy and so bright that he had to close his eyes. And the people whose pale white faces and uniforms made him think of ghosts that come to get you in the night. His throat felt scratchy and it hurt a little to breathe. And it smelled funny too. Kind of like medicine mixed with the stuff that Mama used to clean the floor. Mama. He remembered then. He wondered if she was mad at him. Maybe he was here to be punished. Terrified, he began to cry. "Hey, little man is coming around. How you feeling, sport?" Gerald didn't know what to say, or even if he should say anything to this strange white man with the orange-colored hair. So he just stared at him, trying to hold back the tears, needing to go to the bathroom and wanting to go home. A pretty black lady walked into the room then, and at first Gerald thought it was Mama. But Mama never wore white, and this lady was smiling, and Gerald knew that when Mama came to him, she'd be screaming and yelling and cussing. Mr. Orange Hair walked over to her and said in a voice that was supposed to be too low for Gerald to hear, "Did you get in touch with social services yet?" "Yeah, they're on their way, but they may take all night. You know how it goes." "Has the mother been found yet?" "Yeah, she showed up right as they were putting the kid in the ambulance, screaming hysterically about her precious baby. If that teenager from next door hadn't rushed into the apartment when he did, there wouldn't have been nothing left of her precious baby but a charred ember." "You've got that right. Did you get the whole story?" "From what we can tell, he had been there by himself for several hours, probably playing with matches. A neighbor said the mama was a big-time druggie, left him there alone all the time. She said she usually checked on the boy, but he had been so quiet today, nobody knew he was there. The kid who rescued him told the police that a funny feeling just made him check the apartment before he got out himself. He said he knew the little guy liked to play behind the couch. He ought to get a medal, and that mother ought to get shh. She's already in custody. Child endangerment, abandonment, that sort of thing. Plus, it looks as if he's been abused physically as well. He's got lots of old bruises and scars, and a burn spot on the palm of his hand that doesn't look accidental. Makes me want to scream. Yeah, tell me. You never get used to the bruised or burned or bleeding babies. The kids who've been abused, or the parents who bring them in. How old is he? 3. Does he have any other relatives? Yes, an aunt, I think. She's on her way. Good. Well, I think he's stable now, but I bet he's mighty frightened. See if you can find a big hug for him." Gerald listened as the pretty lady walked toward the bed. He kept his eyes closed because he was scared and because he didn't want her to know he had been listening. She didn't know he was an expert in listening to the conversations of grown-ups. He used to sit so quiet he was almost invisible and listen to Mama and her friends talk about stuff he wasn't supposed to hear. "I see Gerald. He's hiding behind his eyes. How did she know?" Her voice was soft and playful. She took his small hand in hers. "Come on," she said gently. "Let me see those pretty brown eyes." Her voice seemed to be smiling. So Gerald slowly opened his eyes. He thought she looked like an angel, with her round brown face and soft white uniform. He wondered if she could fly. He smiled back at her. "That's better. How do you feel? Would you like some water?" Gerald nodded. She took a spoon and picked out an ice chip and placed it on his tongue. He didn't realize the intensity of the fire in his throat until that soothing ice chip began to cool the flames. "More," he whispered. "Sure, baby cakes, but let's take it easy." She gently spooned another chip onto his tongue. "I want my mama," Gerald said, the tears filling his eyes again. "Your mama's real busy right now, but she'll be here as soon as she can. She loves you very much, you know. But I'm going to stay right here with you till your mama or your auntie gets here, okay? You've been alone long enough. Here's another little chip of ice. Let's see if we can cool that fire." Gerald relaxed finally, letting himself enjoy the coolness of the sheets and the warmth of her smile. He let her help him to the bathroom, and as she lifted him back into the bed, she hugged him gently. She tucked the soft blanket around him. He sighed and drifted beyond the memories of the day. He slept. The orange-haired doctor returned, checked the pulse of the sleeping child, and sighed to the nurse. "I wonder what's going to happen to our little friend here. He'll be out in a day or two, But what will become of the rest of his life? Just as the nurse was about to answer, Aunt Queen stormed into the room. Miss Queen Marie Antoinette Lincoln literally filled a room when she entered it. She was dressed in bright red from the top of her elaborate turban to the tips of her polished fingernails, and an air of regal self-assurance seemed to travel with her. Her eyes, which commanded immediate respect, sparked with a fire that matched the shine in her highly polished wheelchair, her throne. Her voice, loud and authoritative, demanded, "Where is my nephew?" Dr. Orangehair, probably better known as Dr. McFall, was used to irate or worried relatives, and was not intimidated by Aunt Queen's dramatic entrance. "If you mean little Gerald, he's just fallen asleep. Let's go out into the hall where we can discuss this without disturbing him." Without a word, Aunt Queen rolled out of the ward, past the nursing station, and through the large wooden doors into the hall. How she managed to get her chair through those heavy doors just ahead of him so that the door bumped him on the backswing, he wasn't sure. But he thought he saw her smile with satisfaction when he came into the hall, rubbing his shoulder. "I'm Dr. McFall. Your nephew's very lucky. He's suffering from mild smoke inhalation, but he's not burned or otherwise physically injured. Emotionally, the injuries may be much deeper, but only time will tell. He's going to need lots of love and emotional support in the next few months." "That's why I'm here, doctor. I've been trying to get that girl to let me take care of the boy ever since he was born. But I gotta give her credit. She tried. She's got a good heart. She really does love him. She just doesn't know much about mothering. She ain't learned how to take care of herself good, let alone take care of a baby. And them drugs ate up what little sense she had. I should have stepped in before now. Probably should have turned her in, but she's family. You understand how it is, don't you? The boy could have died tonight." "Well, praise the Lord he didn't. When can I take him home?" "You'll have to talk to social services and start the paperwork to be Gerald's temporary guardian. Are you his only relative? Does he have a father?" "Of course he has a father." Aunt Queen's feathers were ruffled now. "Don't you have a father? I know you doctors are getting pretty good at making test tube babies, but the last I checked, it still took a mother and a father to make a baby." "What I meant was, I know what you meant. Since this kid is poor and black and his mother is living alone and unmarried, his father must be long gone. Well, I'm here to tell you that not all black men are like that. There's zillions of black families with a mama and a daddy and 2 kids, just like the average American family." Aunt Queen's shoulders drooped a bit then, and she said with resignation, "But unfortunately, this ain't one of them. I don't know where the boy's daddy is. I just didn't want you to assume. You could have been wrong, you know." Dr. McFall smiled. "You're quite a lady, Miss Lincoln. How are you going to take care of a 3-year-old from a wheelchair? Call me Queen. All my friends do. And like you said, I'm quite a lady. I raised 6 kids from this here wheelchair. I ain't forgot how. What's one more grandnephew? I'd like to see him now." "Of course. And unless there are complications, he should be able to go home by Wednesday." Aunt Queen quietly entered Gerald's room. She listened for a moment to his slightly raspy breathing, then softly touched his cheek. He coughed, turned, and opened his eyes. At first confused and frightened, he looked around wildly, but when he saw Aunt Queen, he relaxed and smiled. "Aunt Queen, where's my mama?" "Your mama hasn't been feeling well, Gerald, and she's going to a place that's going to make her feel all better, just like you came here to get better. She told me to tell you that she loves you very, very much. Why don't you come home and stay at my house, Gerald? Just till your mama comes home, okay? Can we have oatmeal? Every day. Can I put syrup on my oatmeal? Mama never lets me." "We won't tell her." Aunt Queen smiled with a mischievous grin. "What about G.I. Joe?" "Who?" "My G.I. Joe man. Mama got him for me. I left him. Suddenly the memories overwhelmed the boy. The flames, the fear, the feeling of utter desolation were too much for him to handle. He cried huge, body-racking sobs. Queen positioned her chair close to his bed, deftly lifted him up, and cuddled him in her ample lap. She rocked and crooned, while he wept for all the pain he had known in his short life, and for all the pain yet to come.